What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. My name is Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
We hope you're all doing well. We are here this week to talk about the best rap albums of 2024, and I thought 2024 was a upswing compared to 2023. I didn't go back in depth, but kind of thinking back to my favorite rap albums from last year, we had some good ones: K Tronada, McJenkins, Chica. It pales in comparison to the year we are still having in rap. There's a few days left in 2024, and I'm not going to rest until the end because it feels like just these last 2 months alone have provided so many album of the year, song of the year contenders in this genre. My man, rap music is back.
Yeah, I will agree with you that this was an exceptionally good year, especially compared to last year for rap. I do think it's still on this weird downswing, though.
I I don't know. I feel like we're heading in a better place with artists releasing music with shorter windows in between. Whether or not that indicates better music remains to be seen. We'll have to see with that. But I'm talking just names in general. It feels like we're getting a lot of the heavy hitters coming back. I mean, as evidenced by the polarizing feud between the two biggest names in rap music this year, Kendrick Lamar and Drake, which I guess we'll probably get into a little bit through our list, but not much. But I think it was a great year. I think it's great because of where it shows we're going. There's some names on our list that I don't think we've ever mentioned prior to this in our albums of the year conversations the past few years, and that's exciting, man. It's so
Agreed.
easy to become like a legacy fan of somebody, and every time Tyler releases something, that automatically goes to the top. When this year you have new artists like Doechii and all of these people making a case for not just like a album that should be in the conversation, but maybe the best. And
Right.
man, I'm a big fan of where we're at right now. Why do you think we're still on the downswing?
As far as popularity goes, is what I meant. I think,
Yeah, it's not one of the higher ranking ones right now.
yeah, and that is interesting because 2013 until maybe 2023, it was the most popular music genre around the globe,
Hmm.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with just kind of, I feel like how international things have gone. You have the ones that draw these massive crowds, Travis Scott and Kanye West, doing a lot of stuff overseas lately, and it feels like a lot of that like hype around it is missing, but I think our list will kind of show that this has been one of the better years of recent history. I just want to get into it. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into our lists?
No, I think we're good. What's your favorite rap album of the year, John?
Man, this my favorite was so hard. This was probably the hardest one to come up with this year, but I've listened to them all. We had 2 weeks to kind of prepare for this one. It's Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q, man. This
I
this
knew it.
album is just everything to me. It's beyond and no skips. I look forward to every moment. I feel like it's him at his best. It's just everything I wanted based on like the teasers we'd heard beforehand. It delivered in a way I was not expecting, and it held up as my rap album of the year against some pretty strong competition, man. Um, did this one make your rap album of the year?
It is not my favorite album of the year in rap. It's up there. I actually recently re-listened to both of our reviews of Blue Lips today again, just to kind of
Hmm.
re-up on what we had originally talked about, and I remember you liked it a lot, a little bit more than I
Gave
did,
it
and
a
it needed
10.
to
Yeah.
grow on me a little bit. It grew on me quite a bit throughout the year, which was great. I think I gave it a 7 to 8, but I think it's somewhere between an 8 and a 9 for me now. It's a really good album.
Fair.
It's one of those ones though that it's a TDE release, right? It's not there's nothing typical about it, and it really does encompass so many different like di different blends of different genres while still maintaining the fact that it is very much rap.
Yeah, and he's just kind of in his like early old man era, which I love. He's just golfing all the time. He's always just wearing a hat and some jeans and smoking and doing his thing. And I love the man. I love his music. It is everything I wanted this year. So thank you, Schoolboy Q, for my rap album of the year. What's yours?
You know, man, like you, I actually had a pretty hard time with this. We had quite a few heaters this year. And then
Yes.
we had some late drops as I was going through our reviews and looking at what all of the notes that I had taken throughout the year. I mean, just 3 weeks ago we had, or not 3 weeks, maybe a month ago we had Tyler drop and Kendrick
Mm-hmm.
drop, and then
Yeah,
you
on
go
like
back to
Thanksgiving.
earlier and yeah, and then you go back to earlier in the year and we had a ton of drops earlier in the year as well. I think one of the first podcasts we did this year had both Kid Cudi and 21 Savage, neither of which made my list, but I mean there's been a steady kind of flow of
Yeah.
releases this year. My
Yeah.
favorite album of the year for rap music though, that I've gone back to time and time again, it's got to be Lupe Fiasco Samurai, man.
Damn, you went with it. I had a feeling this one was going to be in your top five. I was not expecting it to be your rap album of the year, but very, very worthy. Lupe is one of not just the best right now, but the best of all time. He is a lyricist, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. It's a really good album. It did not hit for me as much as it hit for you. I did go back to it. I think I even threw a song or two from it on our playlist this
You did.
week on the best of. There's some heaters on there, like you said. Damn, that you're making me want to go back and listen to it because now I'm wondering what I missed. But that's fucking crazy, man. Good for you and good for Lupe Fiasco.
It's one of those records, John, that like it hits all of the notes for me. And I think that this has been a trend for me for a while now, especially in rap. When you go back to my favorite album of rap last year, it was Mick Jenkins' The Patience. And when
Hmm.
you put both of these records together side by side, they're kind of very similar. We've got lots
Yeah.
of jazz, lots of piano, lots of analog instrumentation alongside some of the best lyricism of the year. And I really think that that combination has been really speaking to me, and I, I I just love it, man. Everything from Samurai to Cake to all of the little album cuts and all of the little flourishes that he puts in his vocal inflections. It's all good. I had a very close runner up though, John.
Hit me. Let's move into runners up.
A very, very close runner up, and the one that I was actually debating on, well, it might fucking be this one, is Dochi's Alligator Bites Never Heal.
Yeah, yeah. Also my 1B. I had a very, very difficult time, much like you. Again, I think I said last week, some weeks they're gonna be like a 1, 2, 3, some weeks it's 1A, 1B. This is that case,
Right.
man. I This one caught us both off guard because she dropped some EPs, a lot of singles that were doing very well over the past few years that we really liked. And this kind of came about after she started doing the Swamp series of these kind of quickly put together freestyles and stuff. And near the tail end of that social media run where she was doing those like freestyles and stuff, we got Nissan Altima, which just somehow like springboarded into this mixtape that included a few of those, but a bunch of songs. And really, like we say mixtape, and I think that is technically what it's being marketed as, but like this is her debut full length, in my opinion, and it is one of
Agreed.
like this is a Lauryn Hill level debut full length. This is one that will be like talked about for a long time. This is going to be in whatever store is existing 10 years from now that still sells vinyl, Barnes and Noble, Urban Outfitters, God help us all. This will be one of those albums in the legacy hip hop section up there with like the Dre or Dr. Dre's The Chronic and those, man. It is that fucking good. She is a singular talent, and the fact that we're kind of just scratching the surface is scary and exciting. I'm very much on board with Doechii right now. I'm glad you are too, man. I wasn't expecting her to be that high up, especially with Tyler and Kendrick dropping this year.
You know, man, I love both of those projects. We talked about obviously both of them very recently, and you know,
Hmm.
if they had dropped earlier in the year, maybe they would have been higher up. But Doechii wasn't like long ago, you know, like
No,
it really spoke to me. She is on a rampage right now, and I am so excited to see what she does in the future. I hope that she rides this wave. I hope she wins something from the Grammys, even though
I
the
hope so
Grammys
too.
don't matter. And
They do not.
I, you know, it's funny. I was reading some discourse on the interwebs about Dochi. Somebody posted like an interview or some like factoid about her, and somebody on Reddit was like, man, I can't fucking stand how much I've been seeing Dochi. They're really promoting her, and it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
man, fucking obviously they're promoting her like crazy. She has been killing it. And her record
Hmm.
label, that's their entire job is to promote her. And
Yeah.
when she has any modicum of success, they need to most definitely capitalize on it. But I don't think that this is a flash in the pan. I think that this is most definitely, I think this is most definitely a debut, and I think she's gonna prove that she has actual creative energy, and that creative energy is going to blossom into more and more projects that speak to people, just like Alligator Bites Never Healed did.
Yeah, and she's already on like a rocket ship that usually doesn't happen without that kind of like Chapel Roan at Coachella type of launch pad. This kind of
Right.
just started happening. I remember when Alligator Bites Never Heal came out and she announced the tour around that time. There was no Pacific Northwest dates. I was bummed out. Anyways, she posts like a day after it goes on sale that every date had sold out. I the fact that just everybody is demanding her at the level they are now, and that she's kind of reaching the level she is now with TV performances and whatnot, the sky's the limit for her, dude, and good for her.
Real.
Uh, all right, man. Let's just talk about those next two that I mentioned because they did come out late in the year, but they are clearly two of the best rap albums of the year, even if they're not our two favorite rap albums of the year. Kendrick Lamar GNX, 45 minutes of Kendrick pretty much just going hyphy. The longer I've had to sit with this one, there's maybe one or two skips on there for me now, or just ones that I don't really love quite as much as the rest. But man, after Mr. Morale, it feels like a breath of fresh air. There's so much levity with this album. It's fun to listen to, which there's a lot of great Kendrick music. Not all of it is always fun to listen to. This one is just outstanding, man. Are you still bumping it?
Oh yeah. It it has that perfect kind of Kendrick go slow, go fast, go hard, go slow again, sort of pentameter to the
Mm-hmm.
album. And I've always loved how well put together his full projects are. Not only can the dude write a banger song and a fantastic diss track, but he can most definitely put together and sequence an album the way albums are supposed to be
Yeah.
sequenced by like
Mm-hmm.
actually speaking through the art. I think that I think that Kendrick Lamar really did something special with this one. I liked Mr. Morale. We talked about it. I think I liked it a little bit more than you. And you know, a lot of people have t talked both very positively and very negatively about that record. But I remember enjoying it. But you're right. This one is different. This one has oh shit, Kendrick snapped on it
Yep.
on a couple of moments. And when prolific artists like Kendrick do that, it really shows it really shows how his artistry can become elevated with emotion, and that is the
Mm-hmm.
one of the signs of a really true artist.
Oh yeah, dude. I agree 100%. He just kind of cracked the formula. I like Mr. Morale as well, but you really hit the nail on the head with his everything down to the way the album is sequenced. This is the guy who put out the Damn Deluxe edition, and it was just the same album in reverse order, and people were like, "Whoa, this is like hearing it for the first time." Just because he knew the sequencing reversed made it feel like a new album, at least to people listening close enough. It's a reach, but he did it. People liked it, kind of. the dude gets it when it comes to putting these albums together. I think that this one flows so seamlessly. Nothing really overstays its welcome. It's a great album, man. I can't imagine how he's gonna follow up his 2024. It was just an insane year for Kendrick Lamar. We obviously know he has the Super Bowl coming up, but that feels more like a kind of victory lap for 2024 than it does something that's leading into something new in 2025. But every time he releases something lately, there's a million producers he works with that hop on and say he has so much more coming soon. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Tyler, Chromacopia, another album I love. I I like it as much as the last four, but the longer I've sat with it, I think that it's probably near the bottom of those four. But that's still like I don't. It's like the worst pizza is still pizza type of thing. Like it's fucking Tyler the
Yeah.
Creator. It's Chromacopia. This album has some absolute jams on it. It's him just in his bag. I think the only reason it feels like it's not higher on the list for me is because it feels like he's kind of done this a few times now. There's really nothing outside of the box, which is kind of unusual for Tyler. This is just another very good Tyler the Creator album. So top five worthy for sure. But I'm interested to see if he's going to kind of evolve the sound that he snapped into around Igor. What about you?
I love this album. I think I gave it between a 7 and an 8 when we reviewed it, but I'm actually
Hmm.
it's totally grown to a full 8 for me. There's a couple of moments on it that didn't quite click with me, but the majority of the album is really is fantastic. You
Yeah,
know,
dude.
you've got tracks like Ratata
So good.
bro, just such a fucking earworm, you know, and really like proving that when Tyler gets in his element, he takes over everything. All he takes all of the energy around himself and just
Hmm.
like channels it, you know. That's something I've really liked and admired about Sir the Creator. Lola Young feature, the love that she's been getting on this album
Insane.
and around is amazing. You've got a Lil Wayne feature on it. Look, man, a question for you: why haven't Tyler and Kendrick done anything together?
I don't know. I don't know. They haven't. Uh, Tyler was at the pop out. Tyler
True, true,
also
true.
just freestyled over Hey Now yesterday for Christmas, which
Right.
is a Kendrick beat. I don't know. There's very much respect there. They were both in the Hillbillies music video together. I don't think that there's been a lot of musical overlap. I don't think their styles overlap very much, but I think that if we do get a true new collab between them, that would be fucking great.
Could be terrible.
What do we got to do to get that Hey Now freestyle officially released, man? That shit was fire.
So
Um,
good, so good,
love
and
it.
him, he's always been so drippy, man, and like
Great music video.
him just around LA, just doing his thing is
Yep.
amazing. It really is amazing. And you know what I also love about Tyler the Creator is that that dude has fun. That dude just has fun.
Yeah.
And you can like tell, you know? Like a lot sometimes I think that Kendrick Lamar doesn't really understand what fun is. And then he drops Not Like Us, which was clearly a fun song, but it was also very
Yep.
serious. Tyler the Creator really knows how to have some fun.
He
The
does.
Chromacopia isn't something that we didn't get any teasers, and like I said when I reviewed it, is gonna need to sit with me for a little bit, and it has. I've revisited it quite a few times over these last couple of weeks, and
Hmm.
it's very good. So we'll see. I'm not quite sure where I put it in his discography quite yet. It's up there though for sure. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, song. I feel like Judge Judy is like the one that just like irks me a little bit. It's just the one I have to, but it's followed up by Sticky. So it's like,
Right.
sometimes you try something, it doesn't work. He's gonna give you something great right afterwards. What's your next runner up?
Let's see here. Very clearly it's going to be Benny the Butcher. Everyone can't go.
I knew it. I knew it. You're such a butcher fiend, man. This
You
one is
know
not
it.
on my list, but I'm honestly not shocked it's on your list. I'm just shocked that it made it all the way from like January to still be in your top 10. That's impressive.
This is how I feel to be a big dog. Look, man, Benny the Butcher, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again, man. When that dude talks, I listen, and I don't really know what exactly it is about him and his style and his flow and his beat selection and the change from Griselda over to Def Jam. I don't know what exactly it was, but this album is fantastic. It's an eight, still an eight for me. Some great features, but really, when Benny's just doing his own thing, it just works, man. I don't know what else to say.
It's not in my top, but it's still between a 7 and an 8 for me. It's very well produced, it being his Def Jam debut. There's a lot of big name features on there that deliver. It still feels Griselda-y, even though I've always been more of like a Conway person when it comes to the Griselda stuff. Feels like that group kind of had a quiet year, even though they all released projects, multiple projects actually. But
Right.
this was the best of all of the Griselda Cruise projects, in my opinion, and easily worthy of a spot in the top 10 for sure.
Yep.
Megan, Act 1 and 2. I'm loving these albums still. My wife's a big fan, listens to them all the time. But beyond that, I throw these songs on by myself all the time as well, man. I am shocked it took me so long to become as big of a fan as I have of her music, but now that I'm on board, man, I'm having a lot of fun. Bigger in Texas off Act 2 has been in my daily rotation since it came out. Hiss and Boa, all the Snake songs off Act 1 are great shit. I really like this, man. Big fan. What about you? Did these crack any of your lists?
It's a great album. I believe I gave it a seven when it dropped, and
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a fan of Megan the Stallion, man. She gets a lot of weird hate from a lot of weird dudes out there, but this
Very
this
weird
girl can
people.
rap, man. This
Mm-hmm.
this chick can fucking rap, and there's no denying it, you know. It's really fun, man. Hiss is such a fun song, and
So
the way she's
good.
just shitting on all these bitches is, it's real special, man. We got to protect shit like that, you know?
Yeah, Nikki is very lucky that there was a banner rap feud to bury the fact that she just got bodied by Megan, like in their
I
little feud to start the year, man. Megan is
totally
not
forgot
one to
about
be
that.
fucked with. Yeah, that Bigfoot diss was one of the worst things I've ever heard. Nikki needs to reassess. All right, man.
Sure does.
I got two more really strong ones. Freddie Gibbs, You'll Only Die Once.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, man. Came out of nowhere with a Halloween rap album
Yep.
full of skits and Freddie Gibbs flows. It doesn't feel as substantial. A lot of the songs are kind of short with longer uh intros and outerludes that kind of they pad the runtime a bit when they make me feel like I want a little more music, but when he's snapping on this album, it's as satisfying as any other Freddie Gibbs album for me.
Yeah, this is another one that I ran back a number of times this last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
I have been a big fan of Freddie Gibbs since you introduced me to him. Alfredo is probably one of the better rap albums of the last decade.
Hmm.
And it like you said, there's like a couple of moments and the interludes get a little exhausting. But other than that, man, like you said, when he is in his zone, he's in his fucking zone.
Also, my I think I said it was my standout when we reviewed the album. It's your anniversary. Pretty sure that got pulled off streaming for sample clearance. This is why you buy physical media, folks. I have that
There
song on CD. You can't
you
take
go.
it from me.
There you
Uh,
go.
my other one, Vince Staples, Dark Times. Another one that I feel like kind of had a really short rollout, if I'm remembering correctly. I think Shame on the Devil was the first single, and a few days later, Dark Times came out. Great album, Black and Blue, Etouffee, Little Homies being my highlights of that one, still all in my rotation. It's Vince Staples, man. This is, I think, his last album on Def Jam. It remains to be seen where he's going to be going next. What about this album for you? Still on your list?
Yes and no. I went back to this one again, and It didn't quite do what his last two records did for me. And even though it's Vince Staples and it is good, his last two albums just fucking go for me. And
Yeah.
I end up wanting to put those ones on every time I hear this one,
Yep, yeah. Man, it's pick whatever one is your favorite with the Vince Staples and just be happy with it. I still throw Big Fish on pretty much every time I throw on Vince Staples, but I love his last three albums. They've all been enjoyable in their own way. Any other like strong contenders before we just touch on a few notable releases?
Denzel Curry, King of the Mischievous South,
Yeah,
in volume two.
only confusing because it was rolled out kind of complete and then in full like a few weeks ago. I don't even think we reviewed the full album, but he really only added a few songs to it. Regardless, whenever I finally heard the thing in its entirety, very good, very Denzel. We got like Maxo features, OT feature on there. It's some really, really good shit. Some hard Southern rap as you would expect from Denzel Curry.
Yep.
Um, what was the other one on there? Hot One. That was the song I've been bumping a lot from that one.
Yeah,
Other
that's a good one.
notable other notable releases, man. Action Bronson, as ridiculous as always, but that album is so fun. Johann Sebastian Baklava, The Doctor is the name of that one.
So
I had a
good.
lot of fun with that album. I'm always looking forward to new stuff from him. Glorilla, Glorious. This one should have probably been a little higher on my list, but phenomenal album. Her style has grown on me immensely. Dude, she put out a Christmas song with Kalani, and it is the funniest shit I've ever heard. The video is ridiculous. I'll send you the link to it. We could throw it in the show notes. It's must-see TV. I will say that.
Okay.
It's the silliest thing I've ever seen.
Love
Um,
that.
JPEG Mafia, I know you weren't very high on this one. I really, really liked it. It was just a stacked year. Didn't quite crack my top 10 in the end. And Maxo Cream, Personification. Another one that I'm shocked is as low as it is for me, but goddamn if this just was not a great year. What are some of your
Yeah.
other notable releases?
Well, man, I think we got to talk about the death of Slim Shady.
That is in my disappointing releases, but if you want to talk about it, we
It's
can. Let's
notable. It's
it is
notable.
notable. You know what? All of my disappointing releases are notable. So let's pivot there. So Eminem released this album, The Death of Sim Shady, Coup de Grace. A lot of people are thinking, just based on the name, that it is the end of this whole project. We are not that lucky. There's going to be another new Eminem album like next year. I don't remember you completely hating this one though.
I liked it a little more than you did, for sure.
Uh, Typical. Yes, I am the hater. One I'm shocked that I really did not like that much, and I'm not sure what I gave it. I should go back and look. But Childish Gambino, Bando Stone in the New World. I think you and I were both kind of meh on this one, and
Yeah.
it just remains that case. It's barely a rap album. It's kind of that's almost the problem with it. Not that it's not a rap album, just that it does not know what type of album it is. It's all tied into this weird movie trailer he released with for a movie that still does not have a release date and now makes no sense. This is all very typical Gambino and like all of us that hoped he would wrap his to like this whole project up in a very neat way. This is exactly what we should have expected all along. It's not his fault that he had health problems during the tour he was doing that he announced would be the last Gambino tour. Uh, I don't think he's going to ever do those last dates though that he had booked, which is sad because he
Yeah.
was one of my favorite artists of the 2010s. He headlined fucking Coachella at his highest point. Like the
Yep.
This Is America time was insane. Like how big he got was nuts, but my guy just kind of fell off in the 2020s, sadly.
That's
Uh,
classic Gambino.
Classic Gambino. Don't feel sorry for him. He will be just fine.
Yeah.
Uh, J. Cole might delete later. An album I don't think is bad. It's just time and place and man, just it. J. Cole this year has been the equivalent of the not now, we'll get to you later guy.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate for him. It feels like he's noticing this. He announced that the next iteration of the Dreamville Festival will be the last. It's not uncommon for these big rappers to start festivals now, but it is interesting now that this is a new trend to see when they decide to end them. Not a lot of them do this, so it's kind of interesting. He could easily, as a face of rap, be a promoter of a festival for as long as he wants. So it is interesting he's deciding to wrap it up. I wonder if that's going to mean more or less music from him going forward. But either way, this album in hindsight just thumbs down. Uh, what about you? Did you revisit this one?
I actually did because I have this weird thing with J. Cole where after we reviewed the off season and then I went back to the off season and was like, hey man, I actually liked this album. I thought to myself last week, I was like, you know what, maybe this album is better than I thought it was. And so I went back to it and it is still not good. So it's not a bad album, right? I'm not sure that J. Cole can put out a bad record, but it really isn't great.
That's fair, man. I think that in terms of what was the one that he did before this? Was it King of KOD? I don't even remember.
KD or something like that. Yeah.
It was just he was in a weird spot. No, he had one after that. He had
The off
fall
season, right?
off season, fall. I don't, dude. The guy, it's all a mess, man. It's all such a fucking mess with J. Cole. We'll leave it there with J. Cole for now and hope for the best. But last disappointing one, also a big one. Lotto, Sugar Honey Iced Tea, just kind of a bland album from a pretty talented rapper. So disappointing. Did we review this one? I don't even remember.
I don't think that we did. I know we covered Sunday Service with Lotto.
We do, and that song is still a banger. I will stand
Banger.
by that.
Banger.
Favorite rap song this year? What's yours?
Ooh. Samurai from Lupe Fiasco is fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to say, what is the Dochi song that I love that much? What's it
The
called?
Nile is a River,
Mm,
Nissan Altima, Alter Ego, miles per hour. Bullfrog, literally, Boom Bap,
is it Hide and Seek? The one where
dude.
the one where she's talking to her alter ego.
Denial is a River.
Denial
Yeah.
as a River. Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic song.
It's either that one or Nissan Altima. Whatever it is, it belongs to Doechii this year, who I was gonna
Yep.
ask you favorite rap artist this year, which is different from favorite rap album.
It's
I think
Dochi.
Doechii stole the year. No question.
Yeah.
Most anticipated for next year. Who are some artists you want to see release albums next year in the genre?
All right. So I'd love another Mick Jenkins album.
Yep.
You know how I am with that.
Hmm.
I'd like four, maybe five Conway the Machine records. I think that'd be good. Um,
Sure.
doubt we'll get like eight Currency albums, which we covered zero of this year, by the way.
We'll get
Uh,
back. We'll get back to it.
um, man, I'd love to see Mick Jenkins drop something. I'd love to see Jid drop another one,
Yeah.
and I would love to have a good J. Cole album. I think he's got one left in him. So,
Yeah, knowing me, I'm always looking forward to a new Emine album. I do think that is actually on the horizon for next year, although it hasn't been confirmed. ASAP Rocky, where the fuck did you go, man? You
right.
can't quit mid-album rollout. I still want to hear. I still want to hear "Don't Be Dumb" or "All Smiles" or whatever the fuck it's called at this point. Cardi B, so long overdue. All the singles she put out this year and verses were as great as everything else she does, but man, put out the fucking album. Come on. And another one, Skepta. Knife and Fork was
Yep.
announced in January. Still nowhere to be seen. We have a new single at least recently put out that's pretty great. But yeah, I feel like a lot of my most anticipated are ones that should have been dropped this year but didn't for one reason or another. So hopefully we get some of those next year.
And then, of course, Lil Wayne.
Yeah, Carter 6, which I do think is confirmed at this point. I don't know about for next year, but I do think that that is supposed to be next.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that. That would be tight. I think Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg's drop. Did he already drop that
Yeah,
album?
Snoop and Dre just dropped in a few weeks ago. We'll cover that on our Best of December. We do have like a few coming out next year already announced. Central C's dropping an album. I've been kind of up and down on him so far, but oh, that came out wrong. I've been up and down on the singles on that one so far. I don't know how I feel about that album as a whole though. There's a lot to look forward to in that regard, but we'll see, man. Dave is the one. We need a new Dave album,
We
dude.
need a new Dave album.
Everything that dude does is classic, and it's been too long. All right, man, that does it for us this week. We're gonna have a big doubleheader next week. We're gonna be doing all things rock. We got indie, alternative, emo, pop punk, all things metal. Make sure you're following along with the link in the show notes to know what we'll be covering on every episode. You can follow us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.